So my name is Nathan. So I will be talking about taking WordPress to infinity and beyond with ChatGPT API. So I started my career as a freelance developer, basically focused on developing WordPress plugins and themes and sell it online. And nowadays I spend most of my time developing exciting web projects with React, with Next.js, with Firebase for clients. And I also, like what Sanjay was mentioning, I'm also a full stack developer instructor at Forward College right now. All right? Okay? So now, before I start today's lesson, right, I would like to tell you a story. All right? So this is very important mindset that to get the most from this session. Okay? So this story, right, begin with a factory manager with a mechanical failure, right? Shut down the production line. So the factory manager called an expert to fix the machines. And the expert showed up and looked at the machine and then do a single tap. And then they say that will be $10,000. I think from this story should be dollars, right? Then the factory manager is like, what the, is furious. And then they ask the expert why 10,000 for one tap only? So then the expert smile and answer, oh, the tap is only $2. The rest is knowing where to tap. All right? So what is the moral of this story? The moral of this story tells us that knowing how to tap wasn't enough. You need to know where and where, the where, the what, and the why, right? Knowing how alone is not really matter. Okay? So what I'm trying to say is like, in these presentations, right, I'll be focusing more on the what and the why. And the how is actually available all in the slide and also actually written a full guide to my whole presentation. Okay, it's fine, you don't get the link right now, it's fine, later on there will be another slide at the end that will have all the everything there, right? Okay, so that's what I'm trying to say is like focus on what and why and not really on the how, because I only have 30 minutes and I can tell you there are like 90 plus sites coming on, right? Okay, so let me ask a few questions first. Raise your hand if you never heard of ChatGPT. Okay, luckily no one. If someone is raising out her hand, right? Maybe, okay, I don't know what to do already. Right? So how about ChatGPT API? Anyone of you familiar with, or at least heard of it, or at least used it before? Heard of it, API. Okay, not bad. Wow, that's actually quite a lot. Okay, so anyone of you here use ChatGPT API on regular basis? Okay, still better than what I expect. I expect like maybe 1 or 2, but there's at least 10 of you, right? Okay, so for those that maybe I'll just give you an introduction, right? ChatGPT has become more than a household name. It's basically your digital BFF, right, that you never knew you need, right? We help you draft email, it helps you brainstorm creative projects, you can even chat with it when you are, boring, right? But there's, if you didn't know it, behind ChatGPT, there's a powerful engine that runs it, and it's called ChatGPT API, right? So that is what we're gonna work with today. So which means, you might ask, what's the difference between ChatGPT and ChatGPT API? So picture ChatGPT as your omakase meal. Sorry, my Japanese friend, if I butchered the whole meaning, right? So think of it as your omakase meal where you can have it in your fancy sushi restaurant. It's perfect, everything is done for you. On the other side is the ChatGPT API whereby you have the whole kitchen without the chef, and you are the chef, and you have the unlimited possibility to do whatever you want with a kitchen. Okay, so that's the difference. ChatGPT is the chef that serves you with the food. ChatGPT API is the kitchen without the chef, but you have to cook up your own food. All right? Okay, so moving forward, whenever I say ChatGPT, I will be actually referring to the API versions and not the website or the app versions. Okay, because today we are going to work with the ChatGPT API. All right? So let's zoom out for a moment, right? People have been longing for personalized AI assistant for a long time, and it's nothing new because if you remember when Iron Man was hit in 2008 in theater, it wasn't just the Iron Man suit that is fancy, right, that people fall in love with, but also his AI assistant, Jarvis, right? I mean, it's fancy, right? You can fly, but then if the idea of having your own personal AI assistant to handle all your mundane tasks, right? That is just a pure awesomeness in it, all right? Okay, so back in May 2021, I was granted access to GPT-3. So this is 16 months before the launch of ChatGPT. And even during this period, right, I already engaged in a lot of experiment and try to optimize my life through the automation or with the possibility of GPT-3. Now, with the introduction of GPT-4, it has basically expanded the ceiling of what is possible with automation. And it actually brings us to a level that is never imaginable before, right? So today, we are going to explore how to leverage ChatGPT API to bring your WordPress experience into a new era of efficiency, okay? So for this journey, right, you are going to need these 3 tools. Okay, the first thing is the OpenAI API key. So you can, those who haven't get it, you can get it from there. It's basically free. You just need to sign up for an account and then put it on credit card and then all be done. It's a pay-per-use thing, right? Then second thing is Zapier is for automations. Now I understand that some of you are not a Zapier fan because Zapier is particularly is a paid tool, but it's still worth to invest in because they are the top in the market. But whatever I told you today will basically work with other alternatives like Make.com, Petty Connect, NAAD, and also all the other alternate, right? It might work as well, it's the same, okay? Then the last one is PipeDream. So PipeDream is also sort of like automation, but this one is more towards coding part, and free account is more than enough because they have a very generous fee tier, right? Okay, so let's maybe, now that you understand the requirement, maybe we get start with the first automations, right? The first automation, which is, I think, a lot of people are interested in like content creation automatically, right? Using WordPress site, using the ChatGPT API, right? Okay, now I get it that the idea of like generating like 2,000 words article with a just simple click, right? It's feel like magic, right? I mean, you don't have to write any words, right? I've been through the same feeling as well, feeling of excitement myself, but there are actually already plenty of AI tools out there that can already do it, right? But is it really worth it to use ChatGPT API to auto-generate a 2,000 words article on the fly? Well, not really. So here's the problem with solely depending on ChatGPT. ChatGPT is great, but solely depending on it, right, can result in this sort of things. Okay? These two I generate different times using the same topic, but you can see that they are basically almost similar. Different words, but the meaning is almost the same. All right? So, which means if you rely on ChatGPT alone, you're going to get something that's similar. And then, if everyone in this room use the same ChatGPT API to generate the same content in the same topic, we are going to look like Spider-Man, right? Everyone have basically the same content. It's like, hey, it's all the same, right? But then, what's the point, right? The reader, when they read the same thing, they will feel like, oh, I read this before. It's the same thing, right? So to Google, maybe you can fool Google, but then you couldn't fool a real reader because reader want news content, right? So therefore, at the end of the day, if you rely on ChatGPT alone, you're going to lose your audience interest sooner or later. So we can't have that, right? So do we have a way to solve this? Now, the only way that I can think of for right now is you add research, right? So research is your friend because you can add the layer of depth and uniqueness in it, right? So now you might be thinking, wait, come on, man. I thought we are supposed to be talking about automation. Why you ask me to do the research? It's supposed to let AI do the heavy lifting, right? Now, okay, let me explain. But before that, right, let me show you this interesting code. Okay, if you copy from one author, it's called plagiarism. But if you copy from multiple, it's called research. All right? Now, I know, I actually don't know where to put this code, but I just put it right now here. Okay? Okay, so here's how it works, right? So here's how it works. My proposed idea to solve the problem of too many duplications is, now first, of course, you get your topic, right? Let's say this is the time management techniques for freelancer. Then you're gonna go to Google and then do some research, and then maybe you find a few articles, maybe 5 of them. Then you extract the key point from each of the articles. Then you use the key point to generate an outline, we call it article brief. Then based on the article brief, you generate a full article, okay? So this is my proposed process. Now, of course, we're gonna do this automatically, right? We're not gonna do this manually, right? So your friend here is this guy, SERP API. So this tool, we're able to pull the top Google search result automatically using API, and then it will scrape all the result, and then from there you can extract all the key point, which then you can be used to generate your outline, then your full article, right? And then everything can be automated thanks to Zapier. Okay, so here's a step-by-step guide using Zapier. Now, for now, I'm going to go very fast because like just now I'll show you that there's a link to my complete guide, right, in my website. So you can refer to that, right, for more details. So for now, I'm just going to speed it up. Okay, so the first thing first, of course, you need to sign up for the SERP API account. So you can just get the free one. I mean, 100 search per month. If you're just running one website, 100 search is more than enough. Then for starter, maybe you can go to the ChatGPT website and then ask for 30 topics or something related to your niche. Then once you get that, you want to organize everything in a database. So in this example, I'm using Airtable, but Excel sheet or the other database also work the same, right? I basically separate out by topics, target audience, key point, outline, title, content, and the status. So the status there is basically telling me that is the automation is running or not, right? To do means something that to be done, right? Okay. So then we go back to Zapier, then we kickstart by running this Zap every day. So here right now, I'm going to do a daily trigger, meaning that there will be fresh content every day. Then I'll find the Airtable. So like just now I mentioned that there's a to-do status, right? So that is the one that you're going to run today, right? So I'm going to find the topic from my Airtable. Then I will use the SERP API to call webhook, basically trigger API to call all the data. So to find all the top result that is currently related to the topic in Google. Okay? Once I get that top result, then what I do is I'm going to use the loop by Zapier to loop through all the results, because if let's say there's 5, there's 10, then I'll loop through 10 times or loop through 5 times, depends on how many results you want. Okay? Then once I got that, so these are all the loops, like you see that there's all links there. So all links to the website related to the topics that we enter with SERP API. Then after that, I'm going to use this extension called WebPager by Zapier to get the content from the link that we get previously. Okay? Then we use ChatGPT to extract all the key insight from that particular content. So which means by the end of the day, you will get key insight from 5 articles or 10 articles, depends on how many you use. Then after that, we're going to update all the key insight inside Airtable. Then once we do that, then we're going to draft an article brief based on all the keywords that we have. Okay? Then we write the full articles based on the article brief. Okay? Then after that, you just update everything back to your database. So in this example, I'm using Airtable. Then finally, you create a post in WordPress using Zapier. Okay? So this is all the flow in a nutshell. Okay? Start Zapier, find records, update status, get the SERP, get the data, do a Google search with SERP API. Then you loop through the whole result, some delay so that you don't crash with each other for each search, right? Then you get the content from the SERP API link. Then you extract the key insight. Then you find the latest data. Then after that, you create article brief, write a full article, extract the title and content, update into the record. Then you post it in WordPress. Okay, now I know it's a lot. So therefore, I prepare a template for you. Okay? Yeah, I know. So basically, you can just, later on there will be another link where we have everything there. So you can just copy from my template. Okay? So then, talk about second, now, right? That one is done already, right? Content generation. But after you generate content, what will be the next step? Right, you want to market it, right? So therefore, we're going to talk about content marketing automation for effortless promotion. Okay? So to set up this automation, now I'm going to use LinkedIn as an example, but you can use whatever platform you want. You want to do Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Okay, I don't know TikTok can or not, but all the other social media, or X, or previously known as Twitter. Okay, all those things. Now, personally, I prefer LinkedIn because there's much more less, trolly, no troll there. Actual human is in LinkedIn, unlike the other platform, which is full of trolls. Because therefore, I like LinkedIn a lot. Okay, so just like any other workflow, we will start up with a trigger. So in this case, I'm going to start in 12 p.m. So which means that normally what I will do is I will have a buffer time. So let's say my content is written on 10 a.m. Then I will probably run the promotion on after 2 or 3 hours. Okay, the reason I'm doing that is because I need a buffer. I just want to make sure that if let's say the automation if failed, then at least I can do something about it right before the marketing automation run. Okay, so normally I set up trigger, but the gap isn't set in stone. It's basically just up to you. It just create a breathing space for you in case something went wrong. Okay, but of course, with the power of Zapier, if something went wrong, you get notified by email straight away. Right? So then I will get my latest post using REST API, the WordPress REST API from my website. I'm only getting one post because I know that I already published a post 2 hours before. All right, only one post. Then, based on that, then you can see that all the content is there already, right? All the contents that everything that I write. And then I will craft the linking post based on the content that I've just published 2 hours before. And then, of course, I just publish, right? This one is a lot more simple. So which means 12 p.m. I run a trigger. I do a REST API to get my data, the latest post, only one post. Then I ask ChatGPT to generate a linking post based on all the content there. Then, of course, I publish it to LinkedIn. Okay, so this one is a lot more simple to do. Now, of course, you can ramp it up. Let's say you want to do multiple promotions a day. You can do that as well, right? But normally, I just only do one. Okay, then these are our flow for how it runs. So only 6 steps. So this one is a lot more easy. And then these are the template. Okay, in case you want to copy the template. Right? So basically what happened here is like every time you publish a new article, few hours later, you're going to promote it in your social media. Right? Of course, you can run in multiple social media. You can put it in LinkedIn, put it in X, put it in Facebook, all at the same time. Right? It's just that in this example, I'll only show you one, but you can do multiple if you want. Okay? Then the third one is we're going to talk about the third automation, which is harness the power of ChatGPT to filter out all the spammy email from your WordPress contact form. Okay, now, there's one area where a lot of us, me included, often face the challenge, which is managing emails from contact form. Now, contact form, it's like a double-edged sword, right? I mean, on one part, you get inquiry from real clients, like whether to want to inquire your service or about your business or everything. But on the other side, it's open invitation to all kind of spam, right? Basically, everyone just spam you. Now, I get it. You can use reCAPTCHA to fight against bot, but they are almost useless if there's a real human behind to spam you. Okay, things like this. I mean, I don't really want SEO services or graphic design. I already know mine, right? So what for of you keep selling me this email? And then they will send you every day until you decided to shut off the contact form itself. So what if we can use ChatGPT to filter out all these useless email from our inbox? Okay. So think of it. Imagine when someone sends you a message through your contact form, ChatGPT will act as a bouncer. Stop! You don't go here. You go the other side. Right? It will prevent all the spammy email from reaching your inbox. Okay. So this is what I'm going to show you how to do it. Now this one, it's actually very simple to set up only. All you need to do is, Zapier has a function called email by Zapier, whereby they can give you a specific email one. So all you need to do is, you send all your contact form to this email. Don't send it to your real email yet. You send it to here, then you use ChatGPT to basically classify whether this email is spam or not. Is it a promotional email? Is it a spam email? Is it an email in foreign language that you don't even understand what is it? Right? If it's classified as spam, okay, this is how we categorize whether it's spam or not. Right? There are two paths. Okay? So if let's say it's tagged as spam, then what you will do is we are going to store it somewhere else. Right? I wouldn't suggest to ignore it or delete it straight away, because even the top tier AI, right, sometimes they will make mistake. Maybe it's a genuine one, but they just classify as spam. Sometimes they still make mistake. So what I do normally is that I will store it somewhere else, maybe in the Zapier table. In this example, I put it in Zapier table down there, but you can put it in Google Sheet, any other database. Okay. So normally what I do is that then after like 30 days, then I will clean it off, or I will clean it manually. Depends if let's say it's a lot or not. Okay. So this is basically a second storage to safeguard that if let's say there's some oversight from ChatGPT, then at least you're going to be safe from it, right? Okay. Then, of course, if it tagged as proceed, meaning that this is a valid email, then this is the email you want, right? Maybe inquiry from your clients, inquiry about business, inquiry about sales. Then you straight send it back using the email by Zapier, send it back to your original email. Okay? So technically, you are creating a honeypot, right? So these are full of flow. Technically, you're creating a honeypot whereby if there's a spam, that spam will stick in the honeypot. And then if there's a real one, then you are going to receive it. Right? So basically, you redirect them through probably a honeypot, then come back again, if let's say the email is a valid one. Okay? Now, unfortunately, I cannot share this template because Zapier have some stupid rules that I cannot share the template if let's say the template has a path. Okay, so unfortunately, there's no template for this. So, but I did do a full screenshot. Okay, so there's no link for this, unfortunately. All right. Okay, then the last one. Now, no, I go very fast. So this one I'm going to slow down a bit because this one personally, I think is the most interesting one. Okay, build your own WordPress AI assistant powered by ChatGPT. So what do I mean by that? Okay, have you ever fantasized to having an AI assistant handle all your WordPress website? Now, actually, it's not a dream anymore because by integrating ChatGPT into your WordPress site, you can simplify tasks, you can save time, you can enhance efficiency, right? So I'll just give you an example. What if you can ask ChatGPT install and activate all these plugins, right? What if you can do that, right? So all of these are all possible already with AI. Okay, picture this. You can create a new user account without logging into WordPress. You can bug install, update themes, plugins outside of WordPress. What if you can craft and update posts with ease without logging into WordPress? What if you can modify setting without going to dashboard as well? Right? All this is possible. So let me show you a video. So this is what I recorded beforehand. So this is a normal WordPress website. So look at it, no plugins there. Okay. Then what I do is I'll go to Slack and then I type in the message saying that I want to install all this plugin here. Okay, in the message. Then I'll post it. Then in here there's a message of saying that I'm going to install these 3 plugins with the URL basically linked to the repo. Then you notice there's a reply coming back already. Now then it say that the contact form 7 has been installed, Elementor has been installed, Yoast SEO has been installed. Okay? Then you go back to your WordPress, you refresh. Okay. Ta-da! Okay? So that's happened. That's what happened, right? You no longer have to activate install plugins in through dashboard. I mean, I understand that a lot of you maybe do clients work, right? Every time you probably have 10 or 20 plugins that you want to install, right, for the clients. Imagine, all you need to do is just send a message through Slack, then everything done already. So that's the thing that I'm going to show you how to do it, right? So let me explain how does it work in the background, okay? So how do ChatGPT talk to WordPress? Okay, let me just quickly recap what's happened in the video. So when you command ChatGPT through Slack, so this is the message I typed, then actually in the behind the scene, ChatGPT will interpret the message and then trigger a WordPress API, right, based on my message. Okay, from there, then WordPress will perform whatever action based on the API triggered. So in that case, it's install plugins. So therefore, 3 plugins was install and activate, right? So that's what happened behind the scene. Okay, so in a much in that one, so this is another flow. It's basically this message again. Actually, is ChatGPT will interpret the message and then trigger a special feature called function calling. Okay, so ChatGPT API has this feature called function calling. So function calling is basically you teach AI to understand our command and then decide what to do, right? So in this case, ChatGPT will decide that based on this message, you want to install plugins, and then these are the data, right? So and then based on there, then you trigger the REST API. And then which WordPress will perform the API, and then which install the plugins. Okay, so these are all the flow, right? So in this presentation, I basically use Slack for example, but it works with all the other communication platforms like Discord and Telegram. Mostly communication platform that have bots, that it will work. Okay, the WhatsApp, I don't think so, but anything that have bots, it will work. Okay. So this setup requires some coding, so therefore I would prefer PipeDream compared to Zapier, because Zapier, while it's good, but it's not really good for coding. So there will be a lot of codes in my slide later on. Okay. So now first step first is, of course, you need to sign up an account in PipeDream. Then free account should be suffice because their free tier is very generous. Then after that, you set up new workflow, just like in Zapier, you set up workflow. Then you set up your own Slack channel. Now, of course, it depends. Sometimes you can set up Slack bot. You can also set up Slack channel, but Slack channel is the most easy one, right? So maybe what you can do is one website per channel. then normally, because it's your own channel, right? So you don't have anyone there, so it doesn't matter whether it's private or public. Unless you have an employee, then maybe you want to decide the status. Okay, so once you set up a channel, then you need to set up a trigger in Pipedream so that whenever a new message coming in Slack, then it will trigger the whole workflow. Okay, then so for example, then you can send a test message in Slack saying that, okay, I want to create a new user with the following details: emails and then the roles. Okay, then what happened here in the Pipedream, it will normally say that, okay, there's a new message coming in, then you can test it out. So this is all for testing already. After that, it will all automated, right? Test it out, and then you get the data, right? Data from the message itself. Then after that, you want to identify the threads, timestamp, and the previous messages. So this is just to make sure that later on when we reply back to the message, we know which one to reply to, okay? Then after that, we're going to set up the function calling. So in this case, because we want to create user, so therefore we're going to use the user API route, and then these are all the requirement things like username, email, password, and roles. Roles are optional, but we need that for now. Okay. So then we set up the function calling. So these are all the codes. Okay. Now I know it's boring, but once you set it up, then the reason why it's there is because we want to let ChatGPT know what are all the parameters needed and what to do next. Okay. So that, now I won't go into the details about how to set up a function in ChatGPT because there's a very good YouTube video they're talking about this, right? Okay, then after configuration, you can test the function out. Then normally this is what you'll return. Okay, so you see here the red line here, it's actually coming back with all the arguments. So what are the arguments needed? Remember just now I put that this is the email. You will come up with a username, and then you come up with a very simple random password, and then the roles for the administrator, right? And then the name of the function is create user. Then after that, you need to write the code to trigger the API itself. So this is how it does. And then for this thing, right, you actually need a WordPress application password. Does anyone here heard of it before? Okay, good. Okay, so WordPress application password, it's not your password. It's not. It's a password that for API usage only. Okay, so in here you need to key in your application password, not your username password. Right? Now, if you don't know what is it, okay, there's a very good guide by Pay Membership Pro that how to create your own application password here. So there's a link. Then okay, you test your API. Then once you test your API, you get the user in there. Right? So it will create user from there. Okay. So then you just send the response back to your, then you set up another reply to send the response back to the Slack so that you can, in your Slack, you can see, okay, this user has been created. Then at least you know that there's a feedback, right? When you ask something, there's feedback coming back to your Slack. Okay? So this is a flow, trigger. This one basically to make sure that you know that which thread you are replying to Slack. But this is very specific for Slack. If you're using for Telegram or Discord, right, the flow might be different. This is very specific for Slack only. Then after that, you use ChatGPT to interpret the message. Then after that, you call your functions, and then you reply back whatever things, right? So then this one, okay, there's a template for that. Okay, so there's a full Pipedream template here. So these are the link. Okay, I have 5 more minutes, right? So far we look at how ChatGPT can create new user in WordPress. But what if we want to, do more, right? How do we expand it? Okay, so what if, let's add a functionality to install plugin from Slack. So right now we only install one. So which means I type the message, install this plugin, then you get it, right? So to do that, same, we go back to the original code we have written, then we just modified it to accommodate for install plugin. So install plugins, you need to put in the slot. Slot is basically the name of the WordPress plugins, and then the status, whether it's active or not, right? All these you can get it from documentation in WordPress REST API. Okay, then to handle a new install the functions, then of course you need the API for that, right? So the API is the plugins API. So you have to add another functions like in here, okay, that would allow you to install plugins in your WordPress site. Okay, that will install plugin. Then what if let's say I don't want to install one? Because if you install one, then you have to pipe multiple message, right? What if I want to install 10, 100 plugins at one go? Okay. You can do that as well because we already have all the basics set up. Then you basically just expand it further. So in this case, it's basically an array. So then you can add multiple plugins data there, right? It's still the same. you still need the slug and also the status. Then you write an API that allow you to bulk install, basically call multiple API at once using promise. Okay, then you can test your new features. So for example, you type this message, then what you do is you go to Pipedream to trigger the workflow. Then Pipedream will reply you, okay, this has been installed. Then you can go back and check your website, and then it has been installed and activated. All right. So now you might be thinking that, but is it only limited to WordPress API? Okay, not really. So if you heard of this plugins, it's called WP Webhook. By the way, I'm not affiliated with them. I don't know them at all. I'm just think that they are very good plugins. Okay, so a WP Webhook, right, basically can convert every WordPress action and hook into an API. Okay, so everything happening in your WordPress website can become an API through these plugins, right? So then imagine this is all the integration you can do. This is everything that this plugin can do. There's a lot of it, right? As you can see, okay, let's pause. Typeform, WooCommerce, Webhook, Studio LMS, SQL, WordPress, WP Fusions. So basically everything in here can be triggered with ChatGPT because everything in here is run through API. Now, of course, not all of them is free. So a lot of them are actually, you need the pro version of the plugin. So which means, if you are like a cheapskate like me, you use this function. Custom PHP function action, it's free. It's available in the free versions, right? But of course, then the downside of this is like you have to write your own code. Okay, so yeah, okay, you have to write your own code instead of, get all the function features. If you, yeah, okay, so that's all. Right? So basically what I'm trying to say is like, the possibilities are virtually endless. So I'm only giving you a glimpse of what it can do. Okay? You can adapt and extend this approach to cover a wide range of functionality like post management, team customization, SEO, setup, and much more, right? It's really up to your imagination and also the specific needs of your projects, okay? So let's just do a recap, okay? So I've shown you 4 workflow, okay, 4 automation. The first one is the content creation automation, so this is a link. Then content marketing automation using Zapier, this is a link. Then unfortunately, the spam email classify, I cannot create a template, share a template from there because there's a limitation in Zapier. Then the last one is the WordPress AI assistant, right, which is from Pipedream. So all of these are the link. Then now before I end my presentation, right, okay, I want to give you a word of warning about AI automation. Now sometimes you really don't need to automate tasks that is really simple. I mean, just if let's say just few clicks. That was the point of spending countless hours, like me spending countless hours to try to automate something that can be done with just a few clicks only. Okay? Now, AI automation is fun, and it's supposed to save you time. So don't spend too much time if, let's say, it's just a few clicks and one-time thing only. You only do automation if, let's say, it's a repetitive, and then it costs you a lot of times every time you want to do the repeat task. Then it is worth to do AI automation. If it's not, I just better do the manual task. All right? Okay? So that's all for my presentations. And these are links if you want to visit my website, you want to connect with me through Facebook, LinkedIn, and also that will be the slide for the presentation. And then all the links will be in that Google Drive as well. So this will link to a Google Drive. Inside Google Drive there will be another doc that have all the links that I mentioned in the slide. Okay, so yeah, that's all for my presentation. Any questions? Yes.
Thanks for the presentation, Nathan. The question I have is about going back to that workflow where you had the emails. Do you know of a way to give a feedback loop to ChatGPT? So, like you said, it's not perfect, right?
Yes.
How can we make it go like, for example, it gets something wrong and we say, okay, you did this wrong, fix it for next time. Do you know of a way to do that?
Okay. Okay. The thing about ChatGPT, right? You shouldn't show them a wrong example. Because if you show them a wrong example, they might perceive it as a correct example. So they don't know what is right or wrong. They just do based on the previous example you feed them. So there's a chances if let's say you tell them wrong, then they might even repeat the same mistake. So there are chances. I mean, based on my testing, a lot of times there's these sort of cases. So if you really want to solve this problem, you might need to fine-tune your own model, which is they recently just released the features to fine-tune it, to fine-tune your API. Yeah, that will be probably solve all your problems. Yeah. Any more questions? Yeah. Sanjay. Someone.
Hello. This is for the content flow, right? Because when you read the news, they're saying all these websites now are using the robots tags to block ChatGPT from crawling their sites. So if that becomes more popular in the future, does it mean this content flow, when it gets all the information, will be affected?
Okay, that bot, right, is blocking ChatGPT itself, not you. It's blocking the ChatGPT website app, not the API versions. The API versions depends on you. So you are using an API to call the website. So there's no block on that because it's just like normal people try to read it only. The one that you mentioned is blocking the ChatGPT website because in ChatGPT website, if you upgrade to the plus versions, there's a features whereby you can browse internet. So that's the block that they try to do. They try to block from the ChatGPT website from accessing the website, the other people's website, not the API version. API version is basically depends on you. Any more questions?
Hi, about the content creation that you spoke about. Now, when you create so much content with ChatGPT, in your experience, do you find this content is still largely read? Are people reading this content? Is it really making the sites rank better?
Okay, to answer these questions, I would say yes and no. Okay, but the no is bigger than yes in that case. Okay, so when you use content creation automation, right, you lost the uniqueness in it. Okay, so like the reader, right, they do not want to read same stuff all over again. So they want to read something unique. So if let's say you rely fully on the content creation automation that I just showed you right now, you're gonna get in trouble whereby your content eventually will probably similar with anyone else. Eventually lah. At the beginning, maybe yes, you have some uniqueness in it, but then slowly you are gonna lose that. So and also based on my experiment, I mean, I did do that lah. I run a website, a new website, and then I put the content automations to run it through for 7 months. Totally new website. Every year, every day, I push in content in there, right? And then I can tell you that 70% is not even indexed by Google. But on the other side, my own website, which is also edited by ChatGPT, get ranked very fast because that is my input in there. The other side is basically just depend on what ChatGPT have. Okay, so at the end of the day, it's still your uniqueness in it. I hope I answered your question. Last one. Time out already. Can okay.
Make this quick. So just now you showed some automations about creating a new user, administrator user, adding plugin and things like that. Would there be any security implications by giving a third party so much power over the website?
Okay, yeah, they will. If you lack if your application password is leaked to someone else, then yes, there will be some security issue. So, which means that most of the time, what I will do is like, you can set it up for the flow, still run it. After you finish it, you change the password. Or you delete the application password because application password is very easy to delete. You just go to your profile, click delete, done already. Your real password doesn't affect it. That's why we use application password, not your username password, your user password, so you to avoid that. So after you run it, maybe you reset it again. Then next time you need it again, you put it a new one. Then at least that way, even if exposed, you already deleted, so you won't have any issue. Okay.